Junkyard Junkie back here with another video. Today we're going to be installing LEDs into the footwells of this S197. You can do this with pretty much any car, and it's a pretty easy, inexpensive job. Right now I'll throw up on screen the kit that I got. It's very cheap, so let's get started. Okay, so with the manual you'll actually have to take the knob off so you can get this cover off. If you have the automatic, you just got to take off the little bezel that goes around the gear shifter. So we will pull this right off, just like that. Go ahead and unscrew it. And then we'll take a plastic pry tool and just pry up. It'll come off just like that. Okay, so just start by opening this. And then you want to go ahead and pull up this parking brake. Okay, so go ahead and grab you a Phillips head screwdriver. And you have two that you got to take out. One. And two. Make sure to keep up with those. Okay, so you just lift up at this point. And just pull it away. Okay, so we're going to take off these side panels next. Okay, so you just reach behind here and pull back and it will come right off. Now let's do that on the passenger side. Okay, so just like the other side, just reach down here, grab and pull towards you. Now come right off. Okay, up next we have 6 7mm bolts to take out. Okay, now that you got those out, you can just slightly pull it out, and this will let us get these connectors off. Okay, so we'll just pull this out, and then you have a push tab right here. Push and rock it out. So there's supposed to be a tab right here. It's kind of broken on this one. You just push down, pull out, and then on this side the push in is over here on the far end. So we push in and pull out. Now we just have 2 more connectors on the bottom that we gotta get. Okay, so what I found, instead of pulling this back and trying to unclip it there, the easiest way to do this is to come up under here, and then there is our connector right there. Let's see if we can get better light on that. Okay, so for this you just want to stick a screwdriver in there. It's hard to do one-handed, but you just pop it off like that. Okay, so just like the other side, you don't want to go in from here to unplug it. This cable is always tight. So what you want to do is come in from over here, and you'll see it up there. There's the connector, and what I'll do is I'll show you a clip of how it works now. Okay, so you're going to push down right there and take a little screwdriver and pry it up, or you can use 2 screwdrivers. You should be able to just push it down and pry this back, and it'll come right off. Okay, so now that you know how it works, I won't be doing this on camera because it's just too hard to do one-handed. Okay, so now that we got the center console removed, take a look at this. We get 4 LED strips, so we'll put 2 under the dash and then 2 back behind the seats. You will need this app, so go ahead and download it. Just scan it and download it. Now this can come with a 12-volt outlet. The only problem with 12-volt outlets I just don't like is there's never a good way to run them inconspicuously, so I always opt for one of these. I got a connector that will connect on here and go to a red and black lead. That way we can just ground it and put it to our hot. But it's just whatever you want to choose, but you need to think about that. Also, you need to think about where you want to place everything to. Like, I'm not exactly sure how I'm running it yet, but I do know I want this box to be somewhere up here because my black and red leads need to be right here so I can connect it to my switch that I made. If you didn't see the underglow video, you should go check that out. That's where I installed the switch and ran the wires. So if you look here, 2 of them are a little bit longer. We're going to run those to the front the way I'm setting it up because the back will be closer to the box. Okay, so with our dash removed, no matter what car you're in, there should be a way to just kind of sneak these wires back through here. As you can see, we got a bundle of wires back here, but that's fine. There we go. Now we got it wired where we can just put it up here somewhere. We're about to take a look, but let's go ahead and get the other ones ran. So same thing for this one. We just want to kind of find a way to make it through. There we go. We're going to run it behind these 2 things and then let it hang down. So we just want to run it back behind this. Just like so. I'm going to just tuck this wire back here. We don't need it. And we actually got a little bit too much anyways. But we'll tuck what we don't need out of the way. Now let's do the backs. Okay, for these back ones, we just want to get it to come down and out. We can manipulate the wire later. As long as we can get the LED out down there. So as you can see, we got it here. Now we're just going to pull it back here and we'll tuck any leftover wires up in there. Now go ahead and do that on the passenger side as well. Okay, so coming in up underneath, we look up under here. Usually there's a lip right up in here, but there's this wire loom. I think I'm gonna zip tie it all the way across this wire loom right here. That way we can adjust it and then tighten it down once we get it shining exactly where we want it to shine. Now this part you can be as creative as you want and put it anywhere that you want. Usually I would put the 3M tape and stick it to that lip that I was telling you about that goes across there. But since the Mustang don't have it, I think I'm just going to zip tie it to that loom. Okay, so coming in here to the back. If we look under here, I just 3M taped it right here. The main tip I can give you for these back ones is make sure the angle is right. That way it looks good. And 2, make sure that your cord does not get hung up on the track. Because if it gets ran over and breaks, then you gotta buy a whole new one. Okay, so once again, you just want to come in here. And as you look, I have zip tied it up over to there. And I have it angled to point towards right in this area. Now I could have pointed it straight down. That's something you have to think about. Do you want it to light up just your footwell, or do you want it to light up more? If you want it to light up more, point it straight down. But in my case, I want it pointing exactly where it's at. I may tweak it a little bit. That's the good thing about zip ties. And now we're going to do that on the other side. So once again, on the passenger side, we just come up here and we look up here and we can see that it's zip tied. And we got it facing towards the passenger footwell. That way the light should look even and symmetrical. So at this point, you just want to go ahead and, if you did use zip ties, go ahead and cut all those off. Other than that, I'm going to show you how to wire it up now. Unless you got a 12-volt outlet, which then you just run it to any 12-volt outlet. Okay, this is what I got to plug up to the USB to go to a positive and negative lead. So this is what it looks like. It's got a female part for the male USB to go into. Comes around to these alligator clips. We're going to cut them off and strip it. Same with the positive. Okay, so we went ahead and put another ring on this. In your car, all you want to do is find bare metal. Usually it'll be up under your dash somewhere. Find somewhere safe you can drill a self-starter screw through and attach it to that, or even better, find a bolt that's attached to metal. For example, we come in here and we see this bolt right here. I could take this out and get a bigger hoop and put it on there. Or a lot of times there would be smaller ones attached to metal somewhere. You just got to find it, and then you can take the nut off and put it on, and then stick the nut back on, and you'll make a good ground. In case of this Ford, even though there's a bunch of wires here, right down here we hooked up a ground to our trunk button. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out, but we're just going to add it right down there with that one. Okay, so for the ground, I hooked it up there just like I said I would. If you're having a hard time finding a ground, all you gotta do is hook up a test light that you can pick up at Harbor Freight for very cheap. Hook it up to the positive side of your battery and then run it into here and start touching bare metal. And if it lights up, that means it's a ground. So for the power part of this, I'm just going to connect these two wires because this power is being fed through this toggle switch right here that I made. If you go back to the underglow video, you'll see where I made that and how I hooked it up. But at this point, since I know that you probably don't already have that installed like I do, this is where you would run the positive wire from that USB. You'd add a wire to it and run it to your fuse panel. Now most cars' fuse panels are up under the driver's side to the left of the steering wheel, but in this Mustang it is in the passenger floor down there. Here's a video of it now. So coming down here to the passenger side, you pull this fuse box off, and right there is where we added a fuse. It will have a butt connector for you to attach your wire to, and then it uses the fuse power to power your device. So you just hook it up to a add a fuse and you'll be good to go. Now all that's left is to clean up these wires and then put on the center console. So went ahead and just crimped it together like that. Now we'll just take this part of the USB and hook it to this part of the USB. There we go. Now we just put everything back up. These just snap right back into place. Just like that. Okay, so we'll just take our little center console, just kind of work it right down into there. Make sure it snaps in. There we go. Now we just need to put our two screws in. So all we're going to do is let down our parking brake, put our gear shift back on, I'll just pop right back in like that. Okay, now all we gotta do is wait till night and then check it out. And here's what it looks like with the underglow. Looks pretty cool to me. There's the back seat. And that's all there is to it. If you found this video helpful, please leave me a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.